Oftentimes, people can be unfaithful in emotional ways, but not physical ways. Any type of addiction can really be seen as a third entity in the relationship. Hi, this is Jim Brillon. Welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things mental health. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that is really a difficult thing for a lot of couples, and that's the subject of infidelity. Talking about infidelity, I think first of all it's helpful to define what that is, because infidelity actually is different things to different people sometimes, and there are different kinds of infidelity. The type that we generally think about is like a sexual affair, and that's a physical infidelity where there's a sexual relationship, a physical relationship. Oftentimes people can be unfaithful in emotional ways but not physical ways. There's such things as emotional infidelity, that maybe it's not actually a sexual relationship, but somebody who's in a relationship with somebody else is emotionally connected to another person. And those types of infidelity are sometimes perceived differently by different people. In a general way, in a heterosexual relationship, often women are more disturbed by emotional infidelity and men by physical infidelity. There's also something called object infidelity, and that's when somebody in a relationship actually has another relationship with something outside their primary love relationship. It could be a career, could be a hobby, could be any kind of interest that pulls you away from the relationship so much that the relationship starts to struggle. A lot of times this is what happens when there's workaholism, where somebody's career, their work, is taking priority over their relationship. And a lot of times that workaholism can be a sign that there's a problem in the relationship. Celebrities and people that spend lots of time traveling and have to be away from home for a long period of time often struggle with this type of object infidelity. And if you look in terms of addictions, any type of addiction can really be seen as a third entity in the relationship. Someone who's addicted to alcohol or drugs, their drug of choice becomes more important than the relationship that they're in. A lot of times, infidelity is what brings couples into counseling. And unfortunately, a lot of times couples wait until there's so much mistrust and damage in the relationship before they get into counseling that sometimes it's difficult to repair. And that said, you can survive infidelity. You can overcome it. The difficult reality I think that you have to accept first is that once there's infidelity in a relationship and it starts to break apart the connection, that relationship is over. If you decide as a couple to work through the issues and the infidelity, you're going to have a different relationship. And sometimes actually working through those issues, it can make a relationship stronger. One thing that I think the non-offending partner has to think about is reframing in your own mind, looking at how you hurt me and how we can go through this challenge together. That takes a lot. And one of the biggest components or most important component of couples counseling when there's been infidelity is the reaction of the offender. If the offending party is always complaining that, why do we have to keep talking about this? Why can't we just move on? Why are you always bringing it up? We're never going to get past this. Can't we just, all of that, that's a sign that person is not taking ownership of the infidelity. That person really needs to own the transgression. They need to own the emotional difficulty that they've caused for their partner. And they have to be the person that's always talking about it. If the non-offending person keeps talking about it, that's a sign that the offender's not doing it right. And if somebody who's cheated in a relationship, who's been unfaithful, if they really have remorse and they really want to repair the relationship, then they're going to come to the other person, basically pleading for understanding and an opportunity to make things different. And there has to be a serious commitment and space made for that healing to happen. And the partner who's been betrayed has to think really seriously about the kinds of questions that you want to ask and you want answered. It can be really tempting to ask all the questions about how and when, and were they better in bed than me? Did you do things that we don't do? And there's an interest in wanting to know all these things. And at the same time, knowing the answers to some of those questions can actually cause more suffering. So you have to think about, do I really want to know the answers to all of those questions? After an affair, infidelity can definitely be worked through. You have to remember that the relationship that you had before doesn't exist any longer. And building a new relationship is really what the focus is. A lot of people manage to work through infidelity, and sometimes their relationship is stronger as a result. Because if two people can get together and talk about what are all of those needs that you were trying to meet, was it even about me at all, or was it about your unmet needs? Was it just the attraction of the power of the forbidden? Getting to the root of the reasons that the infidelity happened in the first place can actually deepen relationship and in the long term actually strengthen a relationship. It won't be easy, and it's going to be a process. It's going to take some time, but it is possible. So the question is, can counseling actually help once there's been infidelity? And it can. It can definitely help. It matters to a great extent whether you're doing the right kind of counseling with the right kind of therapist, and also the commitment of the offender in the relationship. There's a process that people go through when they've experienced infidelity. The first stage is what they call a crisis stage, and that's when there's this discovery, when you finally learn what's been happening. Tons of difficult emotions, and people go through the stages of grief, anger, denial, bargaining, all of those things, and sometimes you get to a place of acceptance, sometimes you can't. The next stage in healing from an affair is making meaning out of the whole thing. Now that's the difficult work that a couple has to make a commitment to exploring those things. And then the third stage is looking at developing a vision for a new future together. Like I say, it's about building a new kind of trust and not rebuilding the old relationship. Often when couples work through these issues, they develop a more mature trust, and things can actually be better. It's a journey of growing and rediscovering each other, recommitting to authenticity, integrity, communication, and rebuilding trust and connection. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you do find these videos helpful, by all means, click on the link and subscribe. You can get notifications, and always want to hear your comments, your questions, if there's certain topics that you'd like to hear about. I welcome your feedback.